January the 1st, and we plan to spend that time focused on his family. One of his very best friends here at work that many of you know is Chris Doolin. Chris asked that I read this to you tonight. It says, "For those who knew Kip, this will be common knowledge. And for those who didn't, you will be envious of the ones who did. He was a man of faith, a caring son, a brother, loving husband, father, grandfather, and dedicated co-worker, an unwavering friend. I had the honor and the privilege to work beside him for 18 years. He used the word work is harsh in a way because he never felt like it when it was spending time with your brother. You hear people say that certain individuals never meet a stranger. Well, with Kip, that would be considered an understatement. He lived his life for others. If he had personal troubles, you wouldn't know it because that huge smile never left his face. We will all miss that very white voice and that contagious grin. My heart is broken. Life changed. I can honestly say that I'm a better person having known Kip. I will not let an opportunity pass to tell people about my amazing friend. And I will take peace in knowing that this is not forever, it's just for now. I'd like to take a moment of silence. Please. Thank you. You received word just prior to the meeting starting that the arrangements will be for Wednesday at the First Gethsemane Church on Algonquin Parkway. I don't have a time yet, but as more information is available, I'll let you know. Councilman George, I think you have a very special guest.
Thank you, President. I am honored to present Hazel Getz tonight. She will be our page. Hazel is 14 years old and is in the 9th grade at Youth Performing Arts School at DuPont Manual. Hazel's passion is musical theater, and she loves to sing. That's how we first became acquainted at the Beachmont Kids Got Talent show. She's in this year's Stage 1 production of the Best Christmas Pageant Ever, December 10th and 17th, and tickets are still available. Shameless plug. Hazel also performs with the Classic Melodies Performance Institute group Top Note. They were recently the main stage headline act for Light Up Louisville. The Top Note performs throughout Louisville as volunteer community service. When Hazel's not on stage, she likes to hang out with friends, play her ukulele, sing, draw, and paint. Hazel loves cats, even though she's allergic, and someday wants a calico named Maple. When Hazel completes high school, she is interested in being a part-time corner. I'm gonna need you to learn more about this. So she wants to be part-time so that she can still perform in musical theater productions. So we're honored to have you tonight, Hazel. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, Councilwoman. So every fall, we are honored to have interns from the University of Louisville. And this year, we hosted 7 interns, and tonight we want to thank them for their hard work. Will the interns who are here and the council members who work with them come to the well for a picture so Kyle can take your picture and we can give you some proclamations. And can the council members join them? There you go.
We'll just do a quick picture and then
Thank you. And then, council members, if you could present your proclamations to your interns.
Thank you so much. Just like to. Good job.
So U of L interns, we want to thank you very much for the time that you've spent here with our council members and learning about metro government and all the work that you've done. We enjoy it, and I think you all enjoy it too. And it's been a great time. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, are there any addresses to council? Let me remind those addressing council to please refrain from using any profanity or making derogatory statements to council members. Madam Clerk, would you please bring them forward?
Michelle James.
Hi, good evening. My name is Michelle James, and I am co-owner of a small women-owned business that believes in second chance hiring, and I am here to support the second chance ordinance. To be clear, when I say I hire a second chance, our employees actually are on our payroll, covered by workman's comp, offered a retirement package, and accumulates PTO. I have talked to many of you over the past few years how important it is that the city embraces companies that hire second chance. And to find a way to make it more attractive for prime contractors to employ women and minority-owned businesses that embrace it. Most small businesses hire second chance and don't discuss it. The fear is if big companies find out, they will have to run it past the legal department, and that usually means you never hear anything back. This ordinance will not only allow women and minority-owned businesses to have second chance employees, but also have opportunities to be a sub or prime contractors on city bids. On city bids, prime contractors have to reach an amount of women and minority participation. This ordinance will help primes reach their goal and employ more local, women, minority-owned businesses that have second chance employees. This is not only a win for women and minority-owned businesses, this is a win for our citizens and our city. This ordinance will also encourage businesses to hire second chance employees and give opportunity where there's always been too little. Not only do I employ second chance employees, I also consult businesses how to rebuild their workforce, hire, and retain people that need a fresh start. With this ordinance, I believe more companies will jump on and follow the leadership of this council and hire second chance. At the end of the day, I believe we have all had second chances in life. Is it too much to ask to give someone an opportunity to provide for their families? I don't think so. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Dr. Libby Mims.
My name is Libby Mims, and I'm speaking on my own behalf as a pediatrician in the community of Louisville for the past 10 years in support of Metro Council Lead Safety Ordinance 013422. I'm here today with 4 other pediatricians who took time out of their schedule during the busiest respiratory season we've ever seen because we know how important proactive lead inspection and abatement is for the future of children in our community. We have all seen far too many children with elevated lead levels in our practice. Even very low lead levels can be detrimental, causing irreversible harm and long-lasting consequences. I want to tell you a story about one of my patients. I have changed her name for patient privacy, but her story will help illustrate why proactive lead inspections and testing is so important. Josie is a patient I saw for her one-year-old well child check. At that visit, Josie's mother told me that she was becoming more and more independent, crawling and cruising around the playroom and putting everything in her mouth. At that same visit, her routine lead skating came back extremely elevated at 26, more than 7 times the CDC level of concern. You see, the room where Josie did most of her playing and where she put everything in her mouth was a room painted with lead paint. Her parents rented an older home, and they had no idea the peeling paint on the wall could cause harm. Josie is now 6 years old. She has speech delay, motor delay, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and intellectual disability. She gets therapy every week and has extra accommodations in school. In the months and years following her elevated lead level, she saw multiple specialists and had at least $1 million workup, which ultimately concluded that Josie's delays were most likely due to her elevated lead level at a young age, her elevated lead exposure at a young age. Josie's story shows us that we can do more to protect children. We can require proactive lead testing and remediation before children and families are ever exposed. Josie's story doesn't have to be repeated. Every single one of us in this room wants what is best for our children. We want to give our children the best possible start and the brightest possible future. Council members, one way you can ensure the children of Louisville are protected is by passing Metro Council Lead Safety Ordinance 013422. Similar legislation has been proposed in several other cities around the United States, decreasing lead exposures and ultimately saving those cities money. On behalf of Josie and the thousands of children we take care of in this community, please vote yes.
Thank you. Cindy Pablo.
Hello, I'm Cindy Pablo. I am a resident of Harristown Point, the site of the Urban Government Center disaster. That's just the best way to put it. For years, we've been going through the process of trying to find a developer to take over this land to build something that is good for our neighborhood and for the people of the city of Louisville. During this time, we have had numerous problems, beginning with Metro government lack of upkeep and security of the property. We've had numerous people break into the building, taking copper and other items out. We've had drug problems in that area. Numerous homeless individuals have decided to take up homes there, and in the process have brought all of their garbage and trash with them, destroying the property, and nothing has been done by Metro government, Louisville Court, or all the other individuals that are responsible for this property. Every time something happens over there, the grass is 2 feet tall, the snow has not been removed from the sidewalk that people use, or the garbage accumulates. I send pictures to Louisville Forward letting you know something needs to be done. But without that, they tend to forget that property exists. We have had a ongoing process, 3 developers now who have tried to come up with a plan to take over the land and build something that is useful. 2 of those developers have backed out or the contracts were taken away. We now have another developer who has a good plan. It's not perfect, but it's good. And with the development of the Community Benefits Committee, we are fighting losing battle. The residents and neighbors here are. The committee has made statements that they want to wait to see what the new administration feels about this. That they plan to stall the committee and not negotiate any further. They have orchestrated, I would say, a PR campaign to make sure nothing happens. Today, there were at least 2 articles in the Courier Journal talking about this. And one of the articles even said that the panel is unreasonable and self-serving. That is our problem. The people on this panel are not looking out for the people that live here. They are not interested in what is good for them or for us. Instead, they want a job. They want someone to take care of their landscaping. They want unreasonable demands. Give me $250,000 and we'll make sure the taxes don't give up. I want to stress that the people living here are tired and we want this to go forward. And I ask that you do everything in your power to make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy Jennings.
Hi, my name is Judy Jennings, and I've been working with children and families who have incarcerated loved ones in the Louisville Metro Department of Corrections since 2008. I directed a project called the Special Project where we provided art activities in the visitors lobby at the request of a grandmother where they were waiting 2 or 3 hours for their visitation. From 2008 to 2020, our art leaders had over 6,000 engagements with children and adults in the visitors lobby. So if that is concrete proof, if we need concrete proof that family interactions are very important to people inside the LMDC. Since video calls at the jail here were suspended in 2020, the Louisville Family Justice Advocates, which I'm here to talk about today, have called for free phone calls and humane health care inside the jail. So if I look familiar, it's because I've been here before. I do applaud the 2021 decisive action to remove the revenue for phone calls as a budget item in the Louisville Metro Department of Corrections. Thank you for doing that. That did not, however, make phone calls free. The cost of calls was reduced from $9.99 to $5.14. I spoke to a young man a few weeks ago, and he has children that he's been in there 1 year waiting for trial. And he has children he has not seen in person for 1 year. So $105 phone calls has that family had to pay. According to Day Director's report, the current population of the main jail complex is 1,432 people over the design capacity of 79 people. More than 50% of the people inside the jail are identified as Black. That's 779. This is more than twice the percentage of Black people in Louisville, which is 24%. This is a clear racial inequity, which also impacts the families and children. I believe that the Louisville Metro government has a responsibility to treat all residents fairly. But predatory contracts with international for-profits like Securus Fund Company and WellPath Healthcare disproportionately impact Black residents and their families. Yesterday, LMDC signed a new contract with a corporation called Smart Communications. The contract has not yet been made public, but we do have some concerns about some of the company's practices. Since this new contract and the current WellPath healthcare contract adversely and unfairly affect Black residents, I would respectfully request that in 2023, Metro Council publicly reviews these contracts for cost, quality, and racial equity concerns.
Thank you, Judy. Nina Musgrave.
Hello, my name is Nina Musgrave. I'm a District 8 constituent project manager and a real estate investor. I'm here about Ordinance 182-22, the rental property ordinance. I think in general that we're all on the same page. Rental property owners want to provide safe housing and we want good tenants who don't destroy property. This is my experience with a tenant-occupied rental property that acquired Metro codes and regulations violations, and this unit was in District 6. The unit had 3 exterior violations, and then somehow an inspector got in. I don't know how the inspector got inside. I don't even know if the tenant was there, but certainly no appointment was scheduled. 2 exterior violations were the tenant's responsibility, and the other violation I didn't know was a violation. The violations notice that we received came 3.5 weeks after the initial visit, so we didn't have a lot of time to connect with the inspector and figure out a plan to waive the violations. 90% of the violations were not caused by the owner. The unit had been destroyed in less than 7 months and now needed over $6,000 in repairs. Examples of the violations include ripped carpet that was new at move-in, stuffed toys down the HVAC, spaces were being misused, there was tall grass, missing light bulbs, and a bathroom that was deemed as non-conforming. I asked the inspector if there were any options. He told me I could appeal. I asked him, how do I do that? And he did not have a clear answer for me. I asked 3 real estate attorneys. I asked a network of real estate investors how to appeal it, and no one had an answer for me. I just kind of decided to wing it and appeal. And thankfully, some of the appeal was granted and some of it was not. The point of the story is that the current inspection process is not consistent. It's not consistent in terms of how the inspections start, how the owners are notified, what passes inspection, what does not pass inspection. It varies by inspector, it varies by house, it varies by zip code, it varies by street, and sometimes it can vary by block. I know the intent of this ordinance is to increase transparency and accountability and for its focus to translate into higher quality housing in our community. Council could consider the way this is written. If we are truly trying to achieve higher quality housing throughout our community, why isn't all of the housing stock in Louisville Metro subject to being selected for an exterior and possible interior inspection? Why are we targeting very specific rental properties of owners who are in the rental property registry, that are doing the right thing? What about the rest of the housing stock in our community? Council could also consider some of the unintended consequences of the way that is written. In my professional opinion, these include increased evictions as tenant-caused damages are under closer scrutiny, heavy disruptions to the tenants' lives, increased foreclosures, and new employees who are untrained, making the inspection process even more confusing. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff Cavalcante.
Transparency. The new guiding light to help pull us to a new and higher function. I'm here to speak to the council about helping to lead in that effort. I'm proposing 3 things. First, all new resolutions and ordinances will be posted on a public platform after being assigned to committee. No action will be taken for 30 days on those resolutions or ordinances by the committees. Public platform is a debatable thing nowadays. There's Metro TV if you have cable. There's Facebook if you have a device and become a member. There's a newspaper if you pay a subscription fee and know what a classified ad is. The number of people in grassroots groups trying to understand and trying to get involved in how this Metro government works has greatly increased since the death of Breonna Taylor. This is part of her legacy. Time is needed to allow for the dissemination of information to the public and for a time period of questions, dialogue, and understanding before action is taken on the resolutions and ordinances. The primary sponsor, this is number 2, the primary sponsor or sponsor to know and understand the resolution or ordinance and can answer questions from fellow council members and the public. Council does a pretty good job on that. It will allow for faster responses, and I have heard in the chambers here, when asked by a fellow council member or primary sponsor, I don't know. I have to ask the county attorney. In the public eye, there is no transparency when a resolution passes with unanswered questions. Number 3, as primary sponsor, you commit to responding to all inquiries about the resolutions or ordinance from the citizens of all districts in a timely manner. Again, most places are good, but if we call don't tell me to call my council member to come back to you to find questions. Look, we know you're all part-time, we are all part-time. The time frame from committee assignment to council vote is too short for the public to digest, percolate, and let their council member know how they feel. The citizens need to dialogue with the committee so that they understand a resolution or ordinance, then that time needs to be allowed. That is part of transparency. That time also allows for that resolution or ordinance to be stronger and more understood by a larger portion of the community. Transparency also takes courage. Courage to say that it's not good enough administration. Courage that says we need more time to allow more people to be involved in the governance of themselves and this city. Times have changed. There are multiple and varied public platforms today. There are more people watching and involved in the processes of running Metro government. The Metro Council must take the lead in facilitating this growth and change. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Laird? And Mr. Laird, I'm just not sure how to say the first name. Laird? Dr. Gupta?
My name is Dr. Anita Gupta. I'm a gynecologist practicing at Mary Elizabeth in Southbury, Rupert. And I wanted to thank the council for giving me the opportunity to talk about my experiences out there. As we know, Kentucky has some of the worst healthcare outcomes in the country. Kentucky's preterm birth rate and low birth rate are some of the highest in the United States. Within maternal mortality, 46% of maternal deaths involve substance abuse, and 78% of these were preventable. There are racial disparities within rural metro as well. As we know, the maternal mortality is 2.5 times higher for women who identify as Black or African American. And within this community, babies experience higher preterm births, low birth rates, and infant mortality as well. We see this strongly at Mary Elizabeth. Despite all of these alarming differences and the fact that Mary Elizabeth serves the zip codes with the highest birth rates and projected births, there are no maternal services in that community. And there are no maternal services west of I-65. There are approximately 11,000 births that happen within a 30-minute drive of Mary Elizabeth. And conservatively, a birthing center in that area would provide more than 3,000 newborn deliveries and 16,000 GYN encounters. I want to talk a little bit about my own experiences working there in the last 6 months. I can tell you that some of the pathology I have seen there is worse than anything I saw downtown. Women just wait decades and decades to get the care that they need because they don't have access. I've seen my own patients have more advanced stages of cancer. I diagnosed someone with endometrial cancer this morning that has been bleeding for months that didn't have access to care. And that's just the life that we're kind of working on when we talk about women's GYN care. Think about pregnant women. Like, we're talking about two lives. We're talking about moms and babies. And data has shown that if we provide early, safe, effective care, starting at antenatal visits, we can make a difference. We can save these lives. And the women in the south side of Louisville deserve that. They deserve to have access to safe and effective care. And that's why we ask that you support this endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa Adkins?
Hello, thank you for having me here tonight. I'm Melissa Atkins, the CEO of Maryland Hospital, and I am here to support the Birthing Center as well. I actually had a bunch of statistics written up to talk to you all about, but like that we're in hospital at 65, which you all know. But we're going to bring a lot of jobs with the construction of this, not both clinical, non-clinical construction, that type of thing. But the funny thing is I went to the March of Dimes breakfast this morning, and so I'm going to scrap my statistics and talk to you about what I saw there. I think it's more important, I think it's more relatable, and it's what's happening in our local. So as I was sitting there, I was listening to a story from a couple, and they had their baby there. And the woman had a healthy pregnancy, she was 26 weeks pregnant, and started having severe pain. And as she started having that pain, her husband immediately took her to the hospital. You know, what's interesting is she had a placental abruption. For those of you who don't know, and as a nurse myself, I know that that is dangerous for both the mother and the baby, so it's life-threatening. One thing that I heard the father say that really caught me that I wanted to talk about today Was it a good thing that we're 1.5 minutes from the hospital, or a baby may have not survived? And that's absolutely true. There's another story that happened in May of 2014. It was a woman with no transportation. She came into the Mary Elizabeth Hospital ED, and of course we didn't have any birding services, so they sent her via ambulance downtown. Now what happened was during transport, the transport took a long time. The baby swallowed meconium. For those of you who aren't clinical, you know that's very bad. The baby ended up having to be intubated. Now it's a happy ending. The baby ended up being healthy, however, has long residual side effects as a result of not having a closed birding center nearby. And so I'm going to ask you for your support to do the right thing for the women, the children, and the families in our community. It's the right thing to do. We can help generations to come, many generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel Collins.
Hey, everybody. Respectfully, please vote no on 18222, rental registry changes. Very quickly. We've already had a rental registry for 5 years. It already threatens a fine of $100 a day per rental unit for non-compliance. The current rule is not enforced, and the proposed ordinance offers nothing new to force compliance beyond the same threat of fines and liens, though it does promise to publish the home address, email, phone number of housing providers who have registered and already follow the law, leaving good landlords wide open to internet scammers, hackers, direct harassment, and violence if there's a dispute and a tenant or their crazy boyfriend happens to be criminally unhinged. That's dangerous to small business and sole proprietors who do take care of their properties and tenants. It does nothing for supposed transparency because slummy corporations and LLCs will still hide behind property managers and representatives. This burdens the good guys without putting any real pressure on violators. Telephone and email are not considered legal notice by the courts. PVA and Jefferson County Sheriff's Office already has mailing addresses where property tax bills are sent, so the city and code enforcement do have a way to contact slumlords, serve them legal notice of violations, citations, fines, liens, and forfeiture foreclosure actions to the court. Code enforcement already has the tools, just budget for enough staff, and they could already be driving through distressed parts of town, focusing on obviously dilapidated properties, send citations, knock on doors to ask tenants if they have unaddressed needs, or leave a notice on the door, perhaps in multiple languages, with education on how to report problems through the existing system. Just dial 311. That would be targeted, efficient enforcement without running up a huge bill. But no, according to testimony before Public Works, the sponsors want to spend $3.3 million the first year and at least $2.3 million every year thereafter, only partly covered by these unfairly distributed fees, to hire and equip dozens more code enforcement staff to do a lot of busy work, randomly surveying over 1,000 units per month all over the county that are largely in compliance anyway. That is wasteful, reckless spending. This measure is a picture of bad government. Strong, intrusive, inflates the size and cost of government, wastes people's time and money with no evidence that it will achieve stated goals, and only gives the appearance of addressing the problem. Why can't we attach accumulated fines to slumlord property tax bills and the city consider it delinquent until critical violations are addressed and fines have been paid? Increased penalties for extended non-compliance will focus real targeted pressure on violators instead of spending millions a year to bloat government, burden inspectors we don't even have, hassle tenants who may not want a stranger from the government poking around their house, make it harder for small business owners to survive, adding upward pressure to the already high cost of housing. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. President. That concludes the addresses to council.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next, we have approval of council minutes for the regular meeting of November 10th, 2022.
Motion to accept.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Are you ready to transform your organization? Chenault Solutions provides capacity building services for leaders and teams ranging from strategic planning, program evaluation, and organization management training. For more information, please visit http://chenault.solutions. Chenault Solutions.
If you do nothing else. If you do nothing else.
If you do nothing else.
If you do nothing else.
If you do nothing else.
If you do nothing else.
If you do nothing else.